Okay, done. So in the last session, we have seen how to create the implementation user, and we assigned two roles: application implementation consultant and IT security manager role. With the help of application implementation consultant role, the user can have access to FSM. FSM stands for Function Setup Manager. And with the help of IT security manager role, the user can get access to security console. With the help of security console, user can create the new users and roles assignment, creating the custom roles. These all activities can be performed by the user. Right. Now let's focus on FSM. Okay, let's focus on FSM. Functional Setup Manager. So when I talk about FSM, Functional Setup Manager, we have to understand few terms. Here we discussed different product families, right? We discussed different product families like financials, procurement, supply chain management, human resource management, customer relationship management, TPM, etc. So all the applications are classified based on the relevant business processes. Within the financials, we have a different applications, right? These are the core finance applications. So if you take financials, financials is the product family. Within the financials, these all are the applications. In the same way, if you take procurement, within the procurement product family, we have a multiple applications. The same way, if you take example of supply chain management, within this you can find the different applications. The same way, human resource, customer relationship, PPM, etc. In all these product families, we can find the set of applications. Now, as per FSM, Functional Setup Manager, what is the naming convention, or say what terminology we use for the same, we'll see. See here, so we have a different product families like financials, procurement, supply chain management, FSM, okay, PPM, project portfolio management, HCM, human capital management. This is how we have different product families: CRM, customer relationship management. These are all we have as a part of Fusion applications. Already we discussed each area they taken from the different legacy product. Legacy means what are the what are the products they acquired, they purchased from the different vendors. From that they selected the best solutions and they build Fusion applications. Now not only these, there are many other product families we could see within the Fusion applications. So what are the product families we have here? Those as per FSM we call as offerings. Those we call as offering. Okay. Financials we call as offering. Please go on mute. The financials we call as offering. Any questions? Yeah, we'll discuss, but let me explain few points. Financials we call as offering. In the same way, procurement also we call as offering. Supply chain management also we call as offering. Okay, PPM, HCM, CRM, these all we call as offerings. That means financial solution Oracle is offering to their customers. So what they're offering, that we are calling as offering. So the same way, each product family we are calling as offering. Fine. If you call financials as offering, what about the applications what we have inside of these financials? Okay, within these financials we have a different applications, right? This is what we discussed. The same way, in each each offering, we can have a set of applications. Okay. These are the different applications. These are the different applications we have. Now, financials we are calling as offering, procurement we are calling as offering. What about the applications, whatever we have inside of all these offerings? Those we call as options. Accounts payable, Oracle accounts payable we call as option. Account receivables we call as option. Okay. The reality you can take this name like this. Oracle Fusion accounts payable. Oracle Fusion accounts receivable.
Hi, I had a quick question. Can I ask now, or you want me to wait until at the end?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, which offering does inventory module come in?
For that, we have a separate offering. Material management, we have a separate offering.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole inventory management is in that. And what about the order management? Order management, does it come under CRM or supply chain?
The reality, when you talk about supply chain management, okay, when you talk about supply chain management, the inventory, order management, everything should come under supply chain management only. What Oracle did is initially they released only inventory part. They didn't come up with a complete solution, the fusion including the order management. That is the reason. Even that is the inventory is one of the option. Okay, inventory is just one of the option. Like each application we call as option. Inventory is one of the option. They just released it as a offering. Later they released order management as a separate offering. Reality, those are separate applications. We should call them as options, but they released as offerings. That will see in the system directly. But what we have to understand as offering, what we call as option, that's what we are discussing. Where those falls into means, yes, inventory, order management will fall under supply chain management offering. But how
Okay, thank you.
within the instance, yes, we are going to see that. Why they given, we'll discuss. Yeah. So each application we call as option. So cash management, fixed assets. So as per fusion applications, this is how we can use the naming convention. Okay. So done. So these all we are calling as options. Each application we are calling as option. Each product family we are calling as offer. The same way, if you take example of procurement, procurement is one of the offering. Within the procurement, we have different applications like purchasing, self-service procurement, procurement contracts, sourcing, supplier qualification. This is how different applications we have. All those applications we call as options. And within the supply chain management, we have inventory, purchasing, order management. These all are the different applications. Those we call as options. Within the PPM, portfolio management, we have a different applications like project costing, project billing, resource management, project management. Different applications we have, all we call as options. The HCM we have like HR, payroll, options, talent, etc. All those applications we call as options. The same way in the CRM, sales, different applications we have, all we call as options. So this is the terminology we use as for FSM. Just we have to understand what is the meaning of offering and option. Offering is nothing but specific product family. Sometimes it may not be product family, it may be directly one application. Why they classified specific application also as offering, we will discuss, but as of now, take this point. Specific product family we call as offering. Within that product family, what are the applications we have, those we call as a options. Any questions on this point, please? Only on this point. Okay, fine. No questions on this. Done. Now let's talk about FSM more detail level. What we can do with FSM. In FSM, when we start with implementation, say you got access to fresh instance. We discussed what is the meaning of instance, where we have all our applications, that environment we call as instance. We discussed we can have a test instance if required, development instance in case of any customizations you are going to do. When you say customizations, the reports development, we don't call it as customizations. Whatever we do in case of PaaS environment, platform as a service, that only we call as a primary customizations. In that case, if you are going to use PaaS, platform as a service subscription from Oracle, then only you may get development instance. Otherwise, just test instance is enough. Say you got a instance access. Let it be, it could be SaaS or PaaS. We don't need to worry about, because we are going to work as a functional consultants. When you work as a functional consultant, so we never get into the technical stuff other than just taking the requirement, passing to the technical people. So you are going to work as a consultant, how we have to start working on the system. First, we'll get the credentials from Oracle or maybe from our client team. Our client may receive from Oracle, they may pass to us. Ultimately, we'll get login credentials to the instance. Once you log into the instance, the very first step is you can create your own user. Already we have seen how to create our own user. If you don't want to create a new user, you can proceed with the user what you are getting from Oracle. Done. What is the second step? Whatever the offerings and options we are going to implement for our client, those all we have to enable. Say, enable offerings and options. In fresh instance, when you start with the implementation, we have to enable offerings and options. Say for our client, we are going to implement these three offerings. Yes, we have to enable financial, procurement, and supply chain management. When you enable financials, yes, you are going to implement financials, so you are enabling financials. Once we enable, system will ask us, within financials offering, we have a different options. Which options we are going to implement, that also you have to select. Say you are going to implement only these three applications for your client. So in that case, what we have to do, these three applications are part of financials. First, we have to enable the offering called as financials. Within that offering, what are the options we are going to implement? Those we have to enable. If you don't enable these offerings and options which you are going to implement for your client, these won't be available to implement. Okay, within the system, these financials, and within the financials, what are the options are available. If you don't enable, you cannot access in the system environment to do the setups, to work on the relevant activities. So we have to just enable, then those would be available so that you can access and you can do the setups and you can work on the process. Okay. On this point, any questions from anyone, please? We have to enable the offerings and options.
Good morning, Mr. Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, when you buy Oracle from Oracle, everything is enabled, or based on our requirement, offerings will be enabled.
Yeah, when you get instance access from Oracle, fresh instance access, so you can see as a nothing is enabled. We have to enable and use. So you take in the subscription from Oracle, maybe only for this finance and procurement for our supply chain management also. But within the instance, you could see many offerings. Those also you can enable, but we should not use, since we are now taking the subscription for those areas. So many offerings should be available, not only what you are subscribing. By default, in every instance, many offerings are available, but we have to enable for what we are paying to Oracle. Okay, we have to enable, then we can start using those.
Okay, this is for our convenience, or I mean, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
One more
Good morning,
question.
Mr.
Please.
So when you are giving us the instance access, right? Whatever you are going to give, whatever you gave us, are all these offerings already enabled, or do we have to go enable
Yes.
and then?
The instance which we are using for practice. Okay.
Right.
So those are enabled already, but I am going to show how to enable the same once again. Just a simple task. What I am going to do is I'll disable and I'll show how to enable. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lakshman,
In
one
the
more thing.
context of implementation, suppose if we have enabled offering like financials and opted only for general ledger, accounts payable, and accounts receivable,
Yeah.
and we started implementing,
Mm.
at a later point of time, can we enable the cash management and also the fixed assets modules?
Yes, that is possible.
We'll have to come. That is possible.
Possible. And along with that, say you started implementing only supply chain and procurement. Later point of time, you want to implement financials also. Yes, you can enable new offerings at any point of time. You can enable new options at any point of time. That flexibility we have.
Thank you.
That is required really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lakshman, when you get instant, like all this finance, procurement, supply chain, PPM, HCM, it's all in the one package, or we have to buy separate, like separately, like
Not
financials.
you are referring offerings. Not only offerings.
Yes.
In offering, what are the options we have? Option wise, we have to take the subscription. Accounts payable. There's a minimum this many users you have to take. And as per the client requirement, just they'll pay based on the head count as well as duration.
Okay. And one more thing, like I have got an instance yesterday. So yesterday I was able to log into the instance. Today it shows the authentication is failed.
No.
So am I?
No, just for a temporary purpose, I shared that instance. After today's session, I shared one dedicated instance for your batch. Okay, those were initial classes. I shared one random instance. After today's session, I'm going to share the new instance which you can use for only it would be for your batch.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that. Any questions here, please?
Yeah, one question, Lashman, here. In the HCM, we are not enabled that, but in the procurement part, we are using the employee and all for the approval purpose. So for that purpose, we need to enable HCM or not?
No. So when we work on the financials, take financials only. When we are working on the financials, so here and there we need employee related association. Say for finance, 50 users are working. The 50 users ultimately are employees. So, but employee object is belongs to HCM. But the same employee object will use across different offerings. So that means that is shared object. Okay, if you have any some shared objects without enabling the core product like HCM, you'll be able to access. That is possible. So wherever we have some dependency, that Oracle is including in the relevant offering itself. Within the financials also you can find the employee creation. Within the procurement also you can find the employee creation. That means we no need to enable HCM to access employee creation and the basic employee related information, etc. Yeah, that is not required. The shared option is available. Without enabling, you'll be able to access.
Okay, thank you.
Is this also true for inventory items and like anything that is shared, or it was just for employees?
Employees, see, employees is commonly used in all the departments. That is the reason. If you are working on financials, your inventory is totally different from financials. If you want to use inventory, definitely you have to enable that and you have to implement it. Then only you can map to the finance wherever it is required. You should do that separately, but employee, that object, that element is commonly used. That is the reason that option they provide. Not applicable for other objects, definition, etc.
Okay. And we have one module called service contracts in EBS. So under which offering will it fall? Is it CRM or there is anything else? Or It doesn't have, that is not there in Fusion.
What you said, what application you are referring?
Service contracts.
Service contracts.
Yeah.
That falls under like procurement, advanced procurement.
Okay, procurement itself. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that is the point we have to understand about enabling offerings and options. At any point of time, you can enable the offerings. Say you enable financials and you implemented financials. If you are going to disable financials, nothing goes wrong. You selected already, you implemented. If you disable it, still you will be able to continue based on that offering what you enabled already you implemented. There won't be an issue with what we already. Yeah. So at any point of time, you can enable additional offerings and options as a part of our project. Now, what is the next step we have to perform? Very first step is we have to create our users. Yes, already we have seen how to do that. And next step is we have to enable offerings and options that we can do within the FSM functional setup manager. After enabling offerings and options, what we have to do? We have to create the implementation project. We have to create the implementation project. Say create implementation project. Here, when you talk about create implementation project, don't take the complete meaning of real-time implementation. What purpose we have to create the implementation project here, we have to understand. It's very simple. To manage the setup, that's all. Okay. Don't think create implementation project means this should be done by project manager and they have to involve for various activities. Nothing. Say we enable financials only. Now within the financials, we have payables, receivables, cash management, fixed assets, and general ledger applications. Now you have to implement all this. How you can implement? With the help of implementation project. Okay. So when you create implementation project, which applications we are going to implement, those all you can select into implementation project. So that easily you can manage the setups and you will be able to track how many setups are completed, how many setups are not completed, and what is the status, etc. All you will be able to track. Okay, create implementation project means it's all about to manage the setup part within the system environment. We are going to create the project. When you create implementation project during the creation only, but I am writing as a separate point. We select offerings and options into implementation project. Okay. By selecting offerings and options, we create implementation project. If not during the project implementation project creation, first you can create the project, later you can add it. But ultimately, you have to add the offerings and options into implementation project. Say select offerings and options into implementation project. Here, the question is, which offerings and options we can add into implementation project? Which offerings and options are already enabled? Those only you can select into implementation project. So I created an implementation project. Okay, simple example. So these three we enable. Within these three offerings, say we enable all the options also. Now I created implementation project. After creating implementation project, I selected only financials. Now, with the help of that implementation project, I can do only financial setup. The reason, within that implementation project, I have only financials. If you want to do the setups for procurement also, select procurement also into implementation project. But procurement, I am not able to select. What could be the reason? Maybe you're not yet enabled that offering. If you enable, then only you can select. Hope you got the point why we are enabling. Only enabled offerings and options can be selected into project definition. Whatever we select into project, for those only we can do the setups and we can track the complete information. And one more important point is, without creating implementation project also we can do the setups, but you cannot track each and everything detail level. Anyway, that point also I'll touch after discussing few other points which are relevant to that. Now, whatever few points we discussed, any questions on that, please? We have to create implementation project. What is the purpose of implementation project? Don't think about real projects, how those can be executed. No, we are not talking about project management or some execution management, etc., etc. Only setup part. Okay, the given name as the implementation project, reality the name should be setup management, etc., etc. Let's take the same name what they are giving as a part of instance. Okay, create implementation project. Why we have to create? To do the setups. That's all. Any questions here, please?
Mr. Lakshman,
Yeah.
because you said that creating implementation project is only to manage the setups.
Correct.
Here, what we are select offerings and options in the implementation project is only to manage the setups.
Only those offerings and options related setups only you can manage.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
That is only to monitor how far we have done the setups.
Yeah, to do the setups,
Is that
manage. Okay. With the help of implementation project, you can do the setups and you can manage the same. Later, any modifications or new setups you want to do, everything you can do within the implementation project.
no? That is fine. My question is, to select offerings and options into implementation project, that only will enable us to make setups.
Correct. If you select
Any setup,
yeah. If you select
any setup we want to make, that should be here. We need to select them first, then only we can implement.
Correct. We have to select any setup. Here, there is another point. Any setup you want to do with the help of implementation project, you have to select the relevant offering and option into implementation project. Without creating implementation project and without selecting any offering and option into implementation project, you can do the setups. Okay, what is the difference between these two? We will understand in few minutes. For now, you can take
Okay.
the point.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Any other questions here, please?
Yeah, Lakshman sir, I just wanted to know, like you mentioned about two instances yesterday that we get from Oracle initially. So suppose if someone is creating a project in test instance and that gets approved, how will it get transferred from test to production?
Yeah, there is
If that can be done.
There is separate process that I am going to discuss in today's session. That is also part of FSM.
All right.
Now
Thank
we
you.
are discussing what we can do, what generally we do as a part of FSM. Yes, I'm going to touch that point also, maybe after some time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions here?
So, Lakshman, when we create one project and start doing the setups for one offering, say financials,
Yeah.
If you have done almost 90% of the setups in financials, at later point of time, can we add some other offering to the project?
Yes, at any point of time, you can add offerings and options into project. And I'll tell you one more example to make you to understand what is the purpose of this adding and all. Say, I created an implementation project and I selected financials. 100% setups I completed for financials. Now I'm deleting financials from my project. Okay, from my project, I'm deleting my financials. Why I selected financials? To do the setups. Already completed setups. Now I'm removing. You may remove offering from your project, but you are not removing financials from the instance. You cannot delete it. Okay, just what you selected into your project. Say you created one project and I created one project. You may select financials and I may select financials. We both are selecting into our project. You and me can do the setups, but I am deleting financials from my project. If I'm deleting financials from my project, what is that? What I cannot do? I cannot do any setups from my project for financials. But already I completed all the setups and I removed. My setups will be remain as it is. I'm deleting. Okay, I'm deleting financials from my project. That means I cannot do any setups related to financials. Say I already completed setups. I may remove financials from my project, but my setups will remain as it is. This is a point we have to understand. Okay, if I add financials into my implementation project, it will show the navigations, it will show the paths, how to go to specific pages, okay, to create something. Once you remove that, there won't be any path to create something, okay, but financials will remain within the same instance, and the setups what you did, those will be available. Again, if you want access to the same financial, again you add it already through financials, whatever you created, those we can see in the instance. Okay, just it's like some framework you are adding, access purpose you are adding. However, you use URLs. One URL I may share through WhatsApp, one URL, same URL I may share through Gmail. Now you removed the one URL, whatever I shared to you through WhatsApp. You are removing means in your device you are removing. The actual URL you are not removing. Okay. So this is how it is, like providing some link, okay, to specific offering or option to perform the setups. Even that offering or option is removed from your implementation project, by the time whatever the setups we did, those will remain as it is. This is the point we have to understand. Any questions on this, please?
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Fine. So just links we are providing. Okay, links we are providing. So that will link in the sense here, just I'm referring offerings and options we are selecting, that we can treat as a link, so that accordingly you can do the setups. Okay. The first point is we have to enable offerings and options. The second point is we have to create implementation project for the purpose of managing the setups. You can do the setups and you can manage the same. Okay. During the implementation and after implementation also, when you provide support also, these implementation projects will be useful. And select offerings and options. During this project creation, you can select, or else first you can create the project without selecting any offerings and options. You can create the project. In our class, I'll show you two options. How to create implementation project with offerings and options or without offerings and options. When you create implementation project without offering and options, later we can add it. So those two we'll test. And then after creating implementation project, we have to select offerings and options into project. Then what we can do is, we are discussing about offerings and options. Take example of payables. Payables we are calling as option. So in the payables, all the setups you could see as a classified. Few setups may be related to invoice creation, few setups may be related to payments, few setups may be related to something else. So these, okay, invoice related, all the tasks we call as a task list. Okay, payment related group of setups we call as a task list. The same task list. Say invoice related, say you have a 20 tasks. For example, 20 setups. You take example as a, you have a 20 setups. Accounts payable we are calling as option. Within the accounts payable, say total you have a 50 setups. 50 setups, say you are grouping, 20 setups are related to invoice related, 30 setups are related to payments. Now the 20 setups which are grouped based on the relevance, that you call as a task list. The 20 setups what we have related to invoices, those we call as a task. Task. That means what we have to understand, we can have a offering. Within offering, we can have one or multiple options, ideally more than one. Within offering, we can have a one or multiple options. Within the options, you can have a task list. Okay. In each offering, each option, you can have task list. Okay, task list or task lists. You can have one task list or multiple task lists. Task list is nothing but group of tasks. Okay, when task list is group of tasks, within that you can find the tasks. So we'll have a task. This is the terminology we have to remember. Okay. So product family we are calling as offering. Each application we are calling as option. In one offering, you can have one or multiple options. In one option, you can have one or multiple task lists. In one task list, you can have one or multiple tasks. So this is a point we have to understand. Now, when you do the implementation, we have an option. We can assign the resource. We can assign the resource to specific offering, or very specific option, or particular task list or task. So you are doing the implementation and each resource is going to work for one offering. Now I can assign financials to consultant A, procurement to consultant B, okay, supply chain management to consultant C. This is how I can assign each offering to one resource. Or else financials, we have a 5 consultants. In that case, each option I can assign to one resource. Or else, say as per project plan, payables need to be implemented by 2 consultants. In that case, the payable application we can assign to 2 consultants. And or else in payables, one person has to handle invoice part, another person should manage payment part. In that case, within the option called as payables, you can have a separate task list. One task list may be for invoice related, another task list may be related to payment related, invoice related process implementation, payment related process implementation. In that case, so instead of assigning the option to those resource who are going to work on the payables, within the payables, who is going to work on which process or which setups, accordingly we can assign relevant task list. Or else for one person I want to assign very selected task. Yes, task also can be assigned. Okay, that means we can assign the resource, means here consultants who are part of our implementation team. We can assign those resources to a specific offering or option or task list or task. You can say one resource can be assigned to multiple offerings or multiple options or multiple task lists or multiple tasks or single only. How we require accordingly, you can do that. Okay, that simply we can say within the FSM itself, we can assign, okay, resource or team members. We can assign team members to offerings, could be single or multiple options, task lists, tasks. Okay, we can assign. What is the advantage? When you look at the implementation project, easily you can understand. Okay, easily you can understand which resource is working for which area, which offering, which options. Otherwise, that means we are able to track which resource is working for which offering, which option, which task list within the instance itself. When you assign, okay, team members to offering, you can set due date for that task completion. Okay, we can set due dates. Say we are assigning tables implementation to one resource, one team member, and you can set the due date. You can say in 10 days payables need to be implemented. Remember one fundamental point when you talk about function setup manager. When you talk about function setup manager, when you refer the term called as implementation, we have to understand we are talking about setups. When I say implementing payables application in 10 days, that means we are just targeting the setups to be completed within 10 days. That's all. Okay, we can set the due dates. Okay, the payables who is going to work, assign the team member and set the person should be completed those setups by which date. That's how you can set the due date. When you set the due date, if there is any delay from that person, the project report will shows so and so from so and so person, so and so task, so overdue. This is how it will display. Let me explain few more points, then we can go ahead with our questions. Yeah, just let me complete few more points, just few. Okay, we can set the due dates, and once this resource start working on this project, whatever we are assigning to them, it may be offering or option or task list or task. Okay, they can update the status of they can update the status of their work. Okay, we can update status of the work. Say one consultant started working on the financials. The consultant can update the financial status as by default the status would be not started. Means implementation is not started. Here implementation means as per FSM. Implementation means setups only, not complete entire implementation. Don't take that meaning into this. Okay. So once one consultant would start working on the financials, they can update the status. Say by default it would be not started. One person started working on the financials. They can update the status as in progress. That means by seeing that we can understand, oh, financial setups are in progress. Which a person is doing also you can verify within the instance only. You don't need to maintain all these details outside of the system. And say within the financial, the person completed payable setups. Yes, the person can update the status against the payable saying payable setups are completed. Okay, receivable setups are in progress. This is how the person can update the status of their work. Okay, so it could be entire offering level. They can update the status on entire offering level. Say if procurement related setups are completed within the procurement, again we have multiple options. Say they complete all the setups, simply they can update the status as a procurement status is completed. That means by seeing that we can understand, okay, procurement setups are completed. So what are the dependency we have? Now we don't have any issue since that is completed. We can proceed with the other area. That's how we can plan. Okay. The dependency and all anyway you'll come to know. So ignore that point. So there will be good information for everyone who is working on the project if you can update the status with the help of this assignments and project. Okay, you can update the status. When you update the status, what will happen? You will be able to track the progress of the project. Okay, ultimately we can track progress of the project. Here, when you talk about project, seriously remember just setup. They should give the term as just setup management, etc. But implementation project they given reality that is not implementation project. As a part of implementation project, we do the setups. That only here we can see in the system. Okay. So we can track the progress of the project. We can track the progress of the project. And say somebody asked one question, the relevant point I'm going to talk about. We discussed test instance and production instance. Initially, we do all the setups and we'll test everything. Okay, if everything is working fine, the same setups we require in the production. Yes, you can do the setups again in the production instance, or else what are the setups you have in the test instance? All the setups, only setups. Okay, only setups. You can move from test instance to production instance. So that also you can do as a part of FSM only by using the concept called as configuration packages. Okay, so configuration packages to transfer setup from one instance to another instance. Okay, this also you can do within the functional setup manager itself. But see, this is very important. It's a mandatory. Enabling offerings and options are mandatory without creating implementation project. If you create implementation project, what is the advantage? If you create implementation project, you can limit the access to that users to do the setups. Whether within as a part of the project, setups need to be completed only for finance or finance and procurement or finance and supply chain. You can specify so that from that implementation project, what are the offerings and options we are selecting for those only we can do the setups. Say you created implementation project. Okay, you created implementation project and you selected only financials. If you try to do the setups for PPM, yes, you cannot do that because whatever you selected into your project, that relevant setups only you can do. And if you create implementation project, you can select the offerings and options which you want to implement, and you will be able to assign the specific offerings or option or task lists or tasks to specific team members, and you will be able to set the due dates, and the team members can update the status of their work, and ultimately you will be able to track the progress of the project. Tracking the progress of the project is nothing but in the entire implementation project, how many offerings we have, how many options we have, how many task lists, how many tasks we have. In overall, how much percentage of the setups are completed and which resource are working, whether they are completing on time or there is overdue for the task what we assign. The complete information. You'll get a picture of the complete system configuration setups what we are doing in the instance environment. So that you can do when you create implementation project. So here very important point is implementation project creation is not mandatory within the Fusion instance. Okay, but it is a mandatory. Enabling offerings and options are mandatory. Say what I am doing is I enabled offerings and options and I created implementation project and I selected specific offerings so that I can involve in all this. Okay, I can assign, I can set the due dates, I can just update the status. Finally, I will be able to track the progress of the status, progress of the project. Okay, I can do all those things. So other person, what the guy is doing is offerings and options are enabled. In one instance, anyone can do that. Everybody no need to do that, enabling offering and options for each and every their project. In one instance, we have to do this activity as a one-time task. Say somebody enabled offerings and options. I created my own project and I did all this. The other person, what the person is doing is the other person is not created, say other person not created any project. Even without creating the project also, the person can do the setups. Okay, other person can do the setups. If offerings and options are enabled directly, we can do the setups. By if you create implementation project and if you select offerings, this and all we can do. Without creating the implementation project, if you try to do the setups, you cannot assign team members to specific offerings and options, and you cannot set any due dates, and you cannot update the status of the work, you cannot track the progress of the project, and you cannot move the status from one instance to another instance by using the concept called as configuration packages. Without creating implementation project, we can do the setups, but this is what we
Lakshman.
cannot do. Okay. So that is the reason in the 1 second, please. Let me complete few points. So that is the reason in every implementation, when you do the Fusion implementation, ideally we create implementation project. Okay. As a best practice, we create implementation project so that things can be managed. Okay, things can be managed and our job also will become very easy. If you don't create implementation project, how it would be, how if you create, how we can manage, both we are going to see anyway, but these are the points we have to understand. Okay, implementation project we should create, even it is optional, that will help us a lot. How exactly we'll see in the instance. On these points, any questions from anyone, please?
Hello, Lakshman. This is Manoj. Good morning. Actually, I have a question regarding the count of setups that we have to, we have to update in the system, or the system will be auto, in invoice 20 setups are there, payment 10 setups are there, that we have to update in the system for tracking purpose, right?
Sorry, I didn't get your question completely.
No, actually regarding the number of setups. Okay,
Okay.
like for invoice, you have mentioned 20 count number of setup is suppose 20 for invoice setups, and for payment suppose 10. This count I have to update it in the system, or
Say for example, Oracle Fusion Accounts Payable. So you can go on mute, I'll explain. Oracle Fusion Accounts Payables. In short, we call as AP. Say in AP, to use all the features For example, what are the features are available to use it? Say Oracle, just for our understanding, I'm giving these numbers. Say Oracle is giving total 50 features. Okay, 50 setups, for example. To implement entire AP, say 50 setups we have to perform. So as per client requirement, we will do the setups. We may do only 20 setups. But this 50 would be available. A few may be under invoice related and few may be under payment related. So when you do the implementation as per client requirement, how many we have to do? We can do that. But if you assign all, nothing goes wrong. Within that list, since everything, all invoice related setups we have as one task list, you can assign to a specific team member. But reality, which features we are going to implement to the client, those only we can do, and we can say, yes, setups are completed. May not be all, but whatever required. So that's how we can manage. Nothing wrong even if you assign all, whatever you have to do, you can do it.
Yes, thank
Mr.
you.
Lakshman.
Yeah, thanks. Please.
Mr. Lakshman.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you say assign team members to offerings, options, task list, and tasks, suppose that you have assigned to a member one offering, that is financials.
Okay.
So all the options and task lists and tasks will be automatically enabled to him. You are assigning to him by the system by default.
Yes, yes, yes. By default, it will happen. You are assigning entire financials. So what we have inside of financials, those will be applicable. And you can,
applicable.
if you want, you can go
anything anything you want to remove from him, you will have to disable that.
Correct.
Am I right?
Disabling, you can go on to change the assignment or you can remove that. Yeah. Disabling not.
Remove that.
You don't
Yeah.
disabling, assigning or just unassigning. Just we can remove that.
Okay. By default, by assigning one offering, he will have all the options, task lists, and tasks for him assigned.
Exactly. That is the meaning of assigning the offering. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
If you want to change the assignment within the options inside of that particular offering, yes, you can do that. Again, say for example, financials you assign to one resource, one team member. That means you are assigning all the options. What you thought is, okay, let one more consultant involved for fixed assets implementation along with it. So in that case, you can go to fixed assets option within the same financials. You can add one more resource. That means entire financial year we are assigning to one resource. For fixed assets, we are adding one more resource. By seeing that, we can understand. Oh, two resources are going to work for FA, fixed assets. For remaining all the options, only one consultant is going to work. That's how you can map.
To assign an option, he must have necessarily been assigned with an offering first.
No, not required.
Not required.
Not required.
Only options can
the
be.
Same example I took.
Only option can be.
Okay. So you assign financials to team member A, consultant A. Now you are going to ask consultant B to support Mr. A for fixed assets implementation. That means in that case you are going to assign directly consultant B to FA. Then when you look at the project, you can find out for FA there will be two resources assigned. Okay, it's not mandatory. Okay, not only that, even directly you can assign the one team member to specific task without assigning to offering or options or tasks. Directly you can assign to tasks.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, fine. Any other questions?
Hi, Mr. Lakshman. Regarding this updating the status, can we do by task? I mean, right? By task also we can assign the status.
Yeah, exactly. All the levels you can do. Entire offering level, options level, or specific task list, or for particular task also you can do that. Possible.
Yeah. In that case, if we are assigning the task for both users, so if one user mentioned that the task is completed, so it will be directly reflected in other user also if they are sharing
Yes, exactly. To the same task we are assigning, that means we have to understand the the both completed or the one person might have completed. This is what we have to understand. When you look at the task, it shows it is assigned to two members. Whatever anyone is going to operate. Not only that, see, we assigned one task to two members. The third person also can come and update the status. Don't think to whom we are assigning, those people only can update the status. Anyone can do that. Say you have an implementation project. You are not assigned to any offering or optional task list or tasks, but still you can do the setups and you can update the status and you can take any action on the project. Where we are doing all this in the FSM, Functional Setup Manager. How you can get access to Functional Setup Manager? Through Application Implementation Consultant. If you have access to Application Implementation Consultant, you can work on any project even you are nowhere related to any project. That's it. This is completely just for information purpose. How to seriously understand one point. There is no control on these points what we are discussing. Okay, no control.
Yeah, one question, Lakshman here. Configuration package is offering level or option level at any level?
Project level. Entire project you can copy. You cannot copy specific offering or optional task, this task. Entire. The project level.
Okay.
If you don't
one more
project, you cannot move the setups also.
Okay, one more question. See, out of all the offerings and options, 90% setups has been completed. Can we able to move these setups to the production and the remaining setups, 10% we can do directly in the production?
Yes, possible. Possible. That we can do.
Thank you.
You completed 90% setups and you moved. Again, remaining 10% also you completed. The incremental setups also you want to move. Yes, that is also possible.
Okay, incremental also possible. Then directly we can do the 10% setups directly in the production.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. Good.
Any other questions? Any questions on these points, please? Okay, no questions. Now we'll go and see, okay, how to enable the offerings and options. Then we'll proceed with these activities also. Yep. Okay, in the last question we created one user called as XYZINC, right? Let's log in with the same user XYZINC, provide password. Okay, right. Now what we are going to do? We are going to enable offerings and options in this environment, in this instance, from where we can do everything we can do from FSM. So let's navigate to FSM. The user what we are using, this user got access to Functional Setup Manager. If user got access to Functional Setup Manager, that user will be able to access to FSM. How to navigate to FSM? Already we discussed in the last session. Click on username. It will open panel. Within the panel, you can find one task called as Setup and Maintenance. Click on this Setup and Maintenance task. This will take us to FSM page. Now we are in the FSM page. Okay, now we are in the FSM page. We didn't create any project. We didn't enable any offerings and options. By default, that's what you could see in every fresh instance. Now first we will see how to enable the offerings and options, how to do the setups by creating the project. Without creating the project, how to do the setup. This is what we are going to discuss. So the very first point is enable offerings and options. Okay, first what we have to do is once you log into the instance, click on the username, it will open the panel. There you can find one task called as setup and maintenance. Click on setup and maintenance task. it will navigate us to FSM page. Now, whatever the page we are in, that is FSM page only. So here, right side, you can find the task list. You could see notepad kind of icon. Task list contains the tasks, multiple tasks, or you can call it as a task pan. Just click on the same. See here, what you could see, this all we call as a tasks. Whatever you see in the Fusion instance, almost everything we call as a task, which supports us, which helps us to perform some setup that we call as a task list. Okay, just notice this is a task list. I'm not going to do anything in this as of now. Just that we call as a task list. So once we enable the offerings and options, you can create the project from here only. Okay. Now let's enable the offerings and options. Here you can find the actions. Click on that actions drop down and you can see go to offerings action. Select go to offerings. Now you can see what are the offerings are available within this instance. These all are the offerings. You can see this title offerings. Okay, compensation management, customer data management, okay, customer loyalty.
One quick question, Lakshman, if you allow me.
Sorry?
One quick question, if you allow me, between. Sorry for interruption.
Please.
See, basically, offers, what I remembered is offers and options can be assigned by only the functional consultant or security manager.
To whom?
Now you logged in with user just freshly created. With this, you are going to assign you are going to allocate the offerings and
one point here. If you have access to, okay, application implementation consultant, you can do anything and everything. That is only the point we have to understand. Okay.
Okay, this guy has this. Okay, sorry. Okay. Go ahead. No, I thought, ETP tree itself is a functional consultant. Okay.
Yeah. Fine. Okay. Here you can notice different offerings which are available within this environment. Okay. These are the different offerings. Now we'll go through the offering which is related to us, that is financials. Here you can click on this financials. Just click on financials. Here it is displaying the description related to this selected offering. Okay, these are the offerings. One of the offerings is financials. So here you can go through. So you can just know more details about this offering. So in this, what you can do is you can manage the financial flows, including assets. Assets means fixed assets application. Ledgers means general ledger application. Cash cycles means cash management application. Invoices and payments. Okay, invoices and payments means accounts payable application. Accounts receivable directly they given. Collections. There is a separate application called as advanced collections. And along with that, we have a subledger accounting. There is related to accounting, we'll see that. And we have tax configuration. They are not describing here. We have expense also, Fusion expense also as a part of financials. So this is how we have a different business processes or sub processes related to financials. Okay, so what financials contains, they are trying to explain here. If you look at financials offering, the status is enabled. Okay, in this instance is already enabled. How to enable, we will see anyway, but as of now you could see this, it's already enabled. And here you can find some relevant documents, related documents. Expand it. Okay, related to financials, you can find few documents. Okay, anyway, we'll go through, we'll understand everything, but just for information purpose, you may just open and go through, but not mandatory. You may try once. You don't need to follow those. Associated features. As a part of financials offering, what are the features are available? Very high level they will provide. Those they are providing with the different documents, PDF format, HTML, Excel. You can just select whatever the format of document you require. Let's download one document, say PDF. We need all the associated features related to finance with the PDF format of the document. Just click on that, it will get downloaded. Okay, so you can open and you can see. So around 104 pages document. Okay. This entire finance related. By seeing that, we don't get any like great information. Okay, just they given for just information, but anyway, when you are going through these sessions and all, you'll understand whatever we require. But you may go through, if you have a time, you can go through. At least you just click on download and you may open and you just go through to get some basic idea how this document looks like. That's all. Done. In the same way, you could see set up task lists under tasks to complete the entire financials. Okay, within the financials we have a different options, and across the options we have a task list and task. All the task lists and tasks which are available across finance related options you can find within this document. You can download in any one of the format. Let's try with the PDF. When we are very new to this Fusion applications, yes, this current document which you are downloading, you may go through, but anyway, in our classes, we are going to understand what we should understand. But anyway, one time you may just spend minimum five minutes time to go through this document. That may be useful for you. But in classes, we'll see everything. Let's look into this document, how it looks like, what content they are providing as a part of this document. Let's see. Yeah, the document is downloaded. You can open this. Okay, so around 641 pages. Okay, don't think you have to read and you have to get ready with this document, nothing like that. Okay, what document they given, what information is there in that, you can see, that's all. Okay, this is how we have. You can notice here, okay, you can notice here for each and every, for example, I'm searching for one setup called as payment terms. Payment terms. Here you can understand the task list or task. Okay, the name is manage payment terms. That is a task list or a task. Here type you can see it is a task. Description. Define and do maintain Oracle Fusion Payables payment terms in used by, and here the product where we are going to create, where we can create this payment terms, product called as financials, and product family. This payables is part of which product family? Financials. And required, the payment term creation is required. Yes. Why means yes, it is required. And conditionally required. Yes. And the payment terms can be exported into Excels which are available in the instance. Yes, those can be exported as well as imported. Whether CSV files can be generated. These all will come to know when you work on this conversions and other transaction creation time. You will come across all those points: exporting, importing, CSV files, etc., etc. So that's all. There's other information. It's to point this ADF technical related path and all not required for us. This is how for every task. Okay, you can find that is a mandatory or optional, that is belongs to which application, that falls under which product family. This is all you can find out. Just go through or else ignore. Nothing wrong. The other documents like business objects and enterprise application, no great information that. If you want to open and go through, just you can try once. Okay. Ideally, this is a document which you may just spend minimum 5 to 10 minutes time to go through. But in the initial stage, even if you go through also, nothing you will understand. Okay, once we start working on the system, you may go through the document so that you can find few tasks which are known by us. Okay, so this is what we have to understand. Say, let's treat this instance as a fresh instance. We want to enable these financials. That means go to financials and you have to click on opt-in features. Okay, you have to click on opt-in features. Click on opt-in features. Now it will take us to finance related offering. Within that offering, what are the options are available? Everything you could see. What you want to enable, you can select so that those would be available to perform the setups or to select into project. Okay, so once you click on opt-in features, we are landing in this page. Here you can see finance already implemented, finance already enabled. Okay, so financials already it is enabled. Okay, ideally you could see this page like this. 1 second. Still it is pausing. 1 second, please. It's not responding. Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, this specific page is not responding in the Chrome. Now we switch to Mozilla browser. Now let's see here. Okay, by default you can see this finance. Okay, here I think we didn't select any our offering. From here also you can select, or else you can go to yes page and you can select. Please go on mute. Select financials. Okay, please go on mute. Select financials, then click on opt-in features. So since this is a visual instance, already it is enabled. Financials is enabled. In first instance, you can see the status as a not enabled. Okay, you could see the status as a not enabled, and we can go and enable so that system will update the status as enabled. And when you create the project, these financials would be available to select. Within the financials, what options are enabled, those also would be available. You can select those all into your project. Now here you can notice. So by default, in case of fresh instance, okay, so this is all you can find as a disabled. Just 1 second. Wait for a second. So in the first instance, you could see all these are the disabled. Whatever we require, we can enable. So 1 second. Say fetching data. This is a very heavy page with all this information.
Lakshman?
Yeah.
Shall we continue tomorrow? It's already 9:30.
Yeah, we done. Just maybe 2 minutes. We'll complete. 2 minutes.
Okay.
Because these are all you can disable. Okay, these are all you can disable. Just for our understanding purpose, we are doing. Okay, these are all you can disable. Just opt out already enabled. If you continue to current offering, function will no longer be available. Do you want to continue? Yes. So in this page, what it is working on this process. Here you can enable what you require, like general ledger application, supplier invoice processing means payables. Okay, cash management, banking, cash management application. Okay, this is payables. So whatever required you can enable. If you enable financials, by default you will get general ledger application. If you want to payables, please go on mute. We can discuss. No issues. Please go on mute. Supplier invoice processing is nothing but payables. If you enable payables, automatically you will get supplier payables means invoice process payments, and automatically you will get cash management. You don't need to enable separately. Expense is nothing but fusion expense. Separately you have to enable. Fixed assets, if you want to implement, enable it. Customer invoice processing is nothing but receivables. Enable it. If you enable the billing process, receivables means billing, customer payments means receipts. That process will be enabled automatically. The bank cash management will come by default for receivables also. You don't need to enable separately. The same way, whatever you required from the financials, you can enable it. When we are working, enable everything. Nothing goes wrong. What you want to implement, you can implement. This would be available. Okay, you can enable everything, whatever available here. Say I'm enabling financials. It's in the financials. I'm enabling supplier invoice processing is nothing but payables application. Okay, you can enable payables. Once you enable payables under supplier invoice processing, these all will come by default. Supplier payables means invoice process, payments, cash management and banking. Is all related to cash management, expense, fixed assets. This is whatever the options are available, and the sub options also would be available as a different features. Those also you can enable. If you want to implement receivables, you can enable this customer invoice processing is nothing but receivables. Okay, so this is how you have to enable. For general ledger, you don't need to enable separately. Once you enable financials, general ledger system will enable automatically. Without general ledger, no finance. Ideally, we can just consolidate the data. That is, this is how they are giving. Okay. Apart from this, here you have a features. You can click here. You don't need to do anything. Ideally, you can click on the edit option related to features on top of this financials. So based on some country, if any additional features, if you want to enable to implement accordingly, here you can enable. But by default, you don't need to do anything. Whatever required, Oracle will by default enabling. Apart from that, anything else need to be enabled for a specific country, you can do that. But by default, you'll get it. So that's how you can find the features for each and every offering. Even option level also, you can find this option features. One second, it takes time. This is a very heavy page, like it's with all the offerings, options, and relevant information. So definitely, when we deal with these pages, it takes time. We have seen other pages; those are very fast. So this is how you can enable, and you can say done. That's how our financials would be ready. Means you could notice in the instance as a enabled. Then this can be selected into any project when you create the implementation project. Okay, just take the point up here. Just we have seen how to enable the offerings and options. So in tomorrow's session we'll see the implementation project creation of how to select offerings and options to project. The rest what we discuss all we can see. Today is Friday. That means the next session would be on Monday as per India calendar. So we are running the classes Monday to Friday only. So if you are from US, that means Sunday evening. So that's all for today. We're done for today. If you have any questions, you can stay back. No further discussions. And see you on Monday. Any questions, please?
Hi, Lakshman. So when we enable an offering, so is it enabled for this particular user or enabled for all the users on this instance? How is it?
This is not user specific. The enabling offerings and options is instance specific. We are doing at instance level. This will be applicable for everyone. Any user will connect to this instance who will get access to application implementation consultant. They can navigate to this page. So it is applicable for everyone. Instance level setup is applicable for every user. It's not user specific setup.
Okay, so like
Mr. Lakshman,
if we disable financials, then anyone who logs into this URL will not be able to access financials at all.
Correct. That means, see, we enable financials, and we created implementation project, and we selected our financials into our project. Even if you disable, okay, still they will be able to do the finance related setups. But if you disable, it won't be available to select into next new project. It is available, you can select.
It's only for FSM. It's not like complete application we have disabled. We have only disabled it in FSM.
Selection we disable. Once it is selected, you disable it. No issues. Already you selected. Okay. That's how it works. Any other
Mr.
question?
Lakshman, enable offerings and options is at instance level, right?
Correct, exactly. Instance level setup.
Yeah. At the instance level, you enable offerings and options, and you will assign the team members the offerings options.
Correct. Offerings, no, 1 second. We enable offerings and options at instance level, and these offerings options we will select into project. Once you select into project, those offerings and options will be in your
assigned to the members.
Yeah, those offerings and options you assign the team member. That means the offerings and options which are in your project, you are assigning team members, not directly which are available in instance as a master copy.
Yeah. And one more question.
Yeah.
While enabling the offerings, we have seen the big checkbox and small checkboxes and also dash.
Correct.
What is the difference between those three things?
See,
small checkboxes are by default enabled ones.
What we are enabled. See, if you enable financials, what you get automatically, those are the small checkboxes which you are referring. Without general ledger, you should not refer financials. So small checkbox.
Okay, what are we automatic?
You see here. So financials. Yeah. This is what you are calling as big checkbox, which you can enable or disable. If you enable financials, general ledger application you are getting automatically. You don't need to select. You don't have the option to say, I need general ledger, I don't need general ledger. You have to accept.
You have no option to choose anything there.
Yeah, exactly. If you enable,
it is protected against update.
But payables, okay, by default, what you are getting as a part of it, they are displaying.
Yes.
That's it. That is the difference.
What about the dash? The other types of the dash are there.
Where if you find somewhere dash, not applicable. That's all.
Okay, not applicable. Dash means not applicable.
But generally, for everything, there will be some like a selection, default selection. Please take care of that. Please. Yep. So done.
So, Lakshman sir, I just wanted to know that initially when someone is given access for application implementation consultant and anti-security manager. So it depends on that user to enable the offerings and options, correct? Or will that already be assigned to that specific user in the initial phase?
No. When you get access, anyone can go on to work on this enabling offerings and options. We cannot limit the access to a specific person who got access to application implementation consultant. They can get access to this.
So it depends. So it depends on them that they will have to enable the offerings by themselves, right?
No, we have to discuss outside of the system. We have to discuss at a plan. Okay, you can say you
Okay.
enable and you can create project. Then team will start working on it. Or else, without communicating, somebody can go and enable it. Nothing goes wrong.
No, that I agree. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Lakshman, couple of questions. One is, as you said, like the offerings and options are at the instance level. Is it project also at the instance level?
No. See, in one instance, that we are going to discuss more detailed level in tomorrow's session. But anyway, since you have a question, let's talk on that. So, in one instance, you can create a number of projects. Okay. In single instance, you can create noise is coming from someone. Okay. In one instance, you can create a number of implementation projects, and the same offerings and options you can select into multiple projects. That's all. So reality, how
it means, I mean,
what are the
project
reasons,
at the
everything we'll
user
discuss in
level or
tomorrow's session. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Project is at the instance level or user level?
No. It's not like a user level or project level. When you create instance, that would be available for only functions application implementation consultants. It is a part of FSM. Who got access to FSM, they can access. We cannot say this can be accessed by this user only. What happens, when you create implementation project, you can select specific person, like we are assigning this project to that person. But reality, when it comes to that functionality and all, anyone can access to that implementation project. It means it's not user specific. It will be available in the instance. Who got access to FSM, they can access.
Okay, thank you. And one more thing is, used compensation manager during these offers. Is it related to anything with offers and option selection?
That is one of the offering. That is one of the offering what we have seen as compensation manager. Okay. This is one of the offering not related to our finance. It's HCM.
Okay. And one more question. It's out of this training class, Mr. Lakshman. If you permit, I'll ask you. Do you conduct corporate training? Basically, because my company is looking for it, so I recommended you. So I'm not sure whether you take this up or not. Just wanted to have information.
No, I'm see. One side I'm working as a freelancer. In past I used to work full time. Like now I'm working for a few US clients, and other time whatever I get, I used to run these classes. So that's what I'm doing.
Or at your flexible timings is not possible. Just I'm making a request because we are looking desperately for a training for a new batch.
Frankly speaking, I don't have time. Otherwise, I'm very much interested.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions, please? Fine, no questions. Good. So that's all for today. We'll connect on Monday. We'll proceed from here. Thank you all. Have a good day and good night.
Mr. Lakshman, I have a small question, personal question.
Please.
Yeah, Mr. Satish told me that you are giving training for HCM also.
HCM or SCM?
HCM, Human Capital Management.
Yeah. We are running the batches on that. I'm not the trainer. Yes, we are running.
On that time, I would like to talk to you personally. can I have your number or any other person?
Sure. I'll ask Satish. He can arrange the call. We can connect.
Okay, sure. That's what I want to take your permission before asking him.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
What time will be convenient for you, Mr. Lakshman?
Maybe after 10 minutes.
Within 10 minutes? No problem. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll talk on that.
Yeah, sure. We'll connect. Thank you.